Hello, welcome to Christendom's webinar series. This is a pre-recorded webinar with our VP for Finance, Mr. Scott Kay. Again, for all of you out there, my name is Ben Marsh. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions here at Christendom College. And we wanted to give you a quick 10-minute video to give you an insight into kind of the most frequently asked questions for families, as the answers can come from our VP for Finance. This is not meant to be anything too formal. Just wanted to give you an opportunity to get to know Mr. Kay. He'll be helping you as we go throughout this process, especially with our financial aid early application window coming up on October 1st. Scott, how about you introduce yourself a little bit? How did you get connected with Christendom?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. So again, I'm Scott Kay, the VP of Finance and in charge of financial aid, along with Sarah Scarchilli, who's a financial aid officer. But my wife is actually a Christendom graduate, so are several of my siblings. So I've been around Christendom, and then when this opportunity it opened up 2 years ago, we packed up the family from Tennessee, and now my wife and I and our 9 children are in Virginia. And what a special 2 years it's been. It's been great getting to know the students, being back on campus, and I'm here solely as a resource for students and families. So please reach out to me with any questions. Weekends, nights, doesn't matter. Just I know how kind of unnerving this process is. It's a big financial commitment for our families, and we're here to help. So if I could give my email address right now, it's scott.kay@christendom.edu. And again, no question is irrelevant or silly or too small. We want to help you. So please ask.
And I can only thank you again for having that personalized approach. We saw it last year and the year before, and I'm sure it's going to continue it this way this year. But getting into the questions themselves, I think the probably the top question that we get is because of Christendom's unique approach when it comes to not having accepting any federal funding from the U.S. government. In that case, we can't use the free application for federal student aid, right? FAFSA, and we use something called the CSS profile. Could you explain the differences between those things?
Sure. So there's really not much of a difference between the CSS profile and FAFSA. When you're actually doing the application, it's going to be very similar questions. You're going to need your tax returns. You're going to need your income. You list your dependents, your assets. We've simplified the process a little bit. So if you do the federal methodology, it might take an hour, 2 hours. Hopefully, our methodology is more like 30 minutes. So you won't see a whole lot of differences between the two. But in actuality, there's massive differences, right? The FAFSA is going to have federal loans where Christendom underwrites our own loan program. So we have a little more flexibility to help families. And then we stay away from all the federal programming. So our scholarships are underwritten by donors. A couple other facts you should be aware of CSS profile. So it opens up actually in 10 days. So we're excited for that, October 1st. If your situation is unique, there's a question at the end that asks, is there anything we don't know? Any other qualitative information? And please communicate that. Just last year, we had a situation where a family had all their investments essentially in cash and taxable accounts, but it was their retirement. Well, we ended up taking that out of their asset listing, and we were able to award them more aid. So we absolutely make adjustments. Sometimes we'll reach out to you if we have a question and things don't look consistent with our expectations. So we're doing our due diligence on our end, but please, any information you want to share could only help us be more accurate, because we want to award as much need-based aid as possible. We want you to have the need-based grant if you qualify.
That's wonderful. No, I thank you, Scotty. I know we worked, one-on-one with families throughout the years, and we're going to be doing it again this year. You mentioned a little bit, this leads into the second question. You mentioned Christendom loans. We have our own loan program. Could you maybe go over a little bit how Christendom loans work, maybe how they differ from FAFSA loans?
Yeah, sure. So Christendom loans, I'll start with the good, and then I'll actually lead with the bad, or follow with the bad. So the Christendom loans, no interest accrues all 4 years while you're at Christendom, which is just amazing. If you were to have a private loan, sometimes by graduation, your balance would be 25% larger than the balance that you actually borrowed. So Christendom loans have that unique advantage of not accruing interest while in school, and for the 1 year grace period afterwards. So you're not being charged interest for up to 5 years. The drawback is once you do graduate and after that 12-month grace period, the interest rate is 10%, and that's amortized over 72 months. That is a little high, so we really encourage students to, when they graduate, work hard, pay off the debt as quickly as they can to save interest expense. And I would also say about a majority of our students actually refinance with private lenders after they get a job. To refinance, generally you need a decent credit score or a co-borrower, and a stable income, and then you could refinance and get a better interest rate. And that's really to Christendom's benefit as well. We want to help students while they're in school, but we're not a bank, so we want to loan you the money interest free while you're here, and then when you leave, it is, helping out the school to refinance, so we could give loans to incoming freshmen. One other aspect about the Christendom loan program is that you don't need a credit score check or a co-borrower. This is a loan to the student. And if you were to do that in the private loan sector, prevailing interest rates are actually more like 14 to 15%. But our students have shown they're responsible, they work hard after graduation, they get a job, and they pay off those loans. So because of our demographics, our population, we're able to have kind of better terms than a bank would.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Could you also just go over a little bit, and this is a bit of a subheading question, but
Sure.
How large are the Christendom loans typically? What do they go? Do they go towards tuition? Do they go towards room and board, and
Sure.
in that space?
Sure. So financial aid is not awarded for room, board, or fees. Financial aid is only awarded for tuition. So we have our merit-based grants, we have our need-based grants, and then we have the loans. The loans could be up to a maximum of $7,500 a year. Again, that's based on need. The federal loans, their maximum is $5,500 for your freshman and sophomore year. So it is larger than the federal loan program. And in no case can students graduate larger than $30,000 after their 4 years at Christendom.
Okay, thank you. No, that was kind of connecting in my head. I think that's another question we get a lot. And then in conjunction with that, when people fill out the CSS profile, depending on when they fill it out, they'll eventually, within a couple of weeks, they'll get back what we call the financial award letter, right? We're familiar with this. And that lists out basically what their financial aid and costs will be for the the following school year. And so when it comes to this financial aid offer, is that the same for all 4 years? What might change? Could you give, if students are trying to plan out for 4 years ahead, what should they expect to stay the same and what should they expect to change?
Sure. Yeah. So we moved this year to a methodology which really was encouraged by our families. They want to be able to budget. They want to go in their freshman year and know what their cost will be over 4 years. And so financial aid will not change for need-based grants, for BWE, for sibling discounts, for your merit scholarship. So your package essentially will recur all 4 years. Now, that's not true for all scholarships. We have certain specialty scholarships that you could apply for that are 1 year scholarships, but for need-based aid and for merit, that will recur all 4 years. Unless your financial situation deteriorates, if a parent loses their job, if the income decreases, you could absolutely apply for more need-based aid at the end of every year, but you don't have to. The assumption is that your financial aid package will recur for all 4 years, and I think families really appreciated that, knowing it helps them budget and they kind of know what their total price will be. Now, tuition will increase on average 3% a year. This year, tuition is going up 1.9%, but on average, it does increase 3%. But your aid is the scholarships do typically stay at that level. So, to give an example, a family that receives a $10,000 merit scholarship, $5,000 sibling discount, and a $5,000 need-based grant, that $20,000 of grants will recur for all 4 years.
That's great. That's wonderful to hear. I'm one other thing that I just wanted to point out, as far as just merit-based scholarships, just for the students out there, they automatically renew provided you get a 3.0 GPA. So
Yeah.
we want you to thrive and we want you to succeed. Do you have anything you wanted to add on that regarding the GPA
Yeah.
requirements?
So there's been a lot of freshmen that come and that first semester is difficult for them. And so we won't look at that 3.0 GPA until the end of the year. So it's not semester by semester. And if you do lose your academic scholarship, if you go under that 3.0 threshold, you could win it back if you come back and have a good semester. So we want you to keep that merit scholarship for all 4 years. And we have resources like the academic success coach to help you through that, especially if you're struggling with studies. But that is pretty rare.
Thanks for clarifying on that. Lastly, in the questions, I know we talk about this a fair amount within the school, and I think a fair number of people outside of the school are aware of this. But we have many families sending 2, 3, even 4 kids to Christendom at the same time. I know we have at least 1, if not 2, families this year that are sending 4 kids to Christendom.
Right.
College is already expensive. How do you keep it affordable for families sending these multiple kids at the same time? Like, is there, when you approach these things in their CSS profiles?
Sure. Yeah. So we really there's a two-pronged method to help with just the cost of sending 3 or 4 kids to college. In most cases, it's 2, and that is we have a $5,000 sibling discount where we award it freshman year if you come to Christendom and have a sibling already at Christendom, and that recurs for all 4 years. So even after your sibling graduates, that is the most generous sibling discount of all the Newman Guide schools, and the only one that I'm aware of that actually you get to keep even after your sibling leaves. But also when you complete the CSS profile, there's an expected family contribution, and that is essentially halved if you have 2 students in college, and then it's divided into thirds if you have 3 students. So each child that you add to the in college status will decrease your expected family contribution, and as a result, we will award more need-based aid.
That's wonderful. No, thank you for sharing that. I know we have lots of families that send multiple kids here. It's our average family is 6.3 kids, single income family. So it's always great to support those families and help them all get that wonderful Christian education that we love. So thank you, Scotty. Again, this has been a conversation with our VP for Finance, Scott Kay. His email is scott.kay@christendom.edu. We look forward to working with you again, and you'll be in touch with him. You'll be in touch with us as we continue on your journey through Christendom. Hopefully to see you here next fall. Thanks for your time. Hope you have a great day. God bless.